Good morning, first year. Our lesson today is still on decimals. We're going to be looking at multiplying and dividing some decimals. To begin with though, your numeracy ninjas are there, just like they were before, and the answers are there as well. So have a go at them, check your answers, see how you got on. Do that bit first. And then you can maybe just pause this video or come back and watch it for the rest. I'm going to do a couple of wee examples, but just like before, the main kind of lesson content is here, so most of this is sort of level 3 kind of stuff. If this is a wee bit too tricky, then this side here you've got some consolidation tasks which are more sort of easier for you to try and get your head around. It's all on multiplying and dividing. I've given you a table square as well, so that's there just in case. I know that some of you might not be massively confident with your times table, so that's there just to help you if you need it. Okay, so learning intention for today is to accurately perform calculations involving multiplication and or division using decimals up to 3 decimal places. Success criteria is going to be what to do that with 2 decimal places. We're going to try and do it a bit with 3 decimal places. They're the extension tasks which are down the bottom. And then third one is to try and solve the problems with decimals in a real life context, which are some of the problem solving tasks which come just here. I've got 2 examples on this side which I'm going to do first. So this first one here says example 1 is 35.9 times 7. So I'm going to write that out, 35.9, multiply that by 7. So 7 times table. If I'm using the table square over here, I'm looking at 7 times table, so I'm looking here. I've got 7 times 9 to begin with, so 7 times 9, just to remind you. I want to go 9's here, 7 times 9's where they meet, so that's going to be 63. So put my 3 down, carry my 6 over. I'm going to put my 6 here, you might put it underneath, that's up to you. The next thing I've got is my point, so my point comes next, so I'll pop that in. Then I've got to do 7 times 5, which is 35, add on that 6. So remember and add this on, so 35 add 6 is 41. So I'll pop the 1 down, carry my 4. 7 times 3, 21, add on that 4, gives me 25. So the answer to that is 251.3. Just going to show you, what if I change the position of the point a little bit and slip all the numbers down a slot in their place value. So what if I do 3.59 times 7? So now, in theory, I might have made that harder. That's now got 2 decimal places, but the strategy is exactly the same. So we still do 7 times 9, which is still 63. We still do 7 times 5, which is 35. Add on that 6 is still 41. The point comes next. And then 7 times 3 is still 21. Add on that 4 is still 25. So the only thing that really changes is the position of the point in our answers, because it was given in a slightly different position in the question. So the process is exactly the same. For the second example, we're going to have a wee look at a dividing one. I'd encourage most of you to use your step. So I'm going to do 56.28 divided by 4. I'm going to write it out like that, put my 4 at the front. I'm going to look at my 4 times table. So using my table square, my 4 times table is here. Alright, so how many 4's are in 5? Well, I can only go to 4 and then 8's too big. So it only goes in once in here. So I get a 1. My remainder is also 1, because 4 times 1 is 4, but I need an extra 1 to make that 5. So I'm going to put that in, I'll pop it in red. So I've now made that, instead of 6, I've made that 16. So back to my 4 times table, 16's here. So that's actually 4 times that goes in. So 4 times 4 is 16, so that means I'll get a 4 in there. Point next. How many 4's are in 2? Well, actually, 4 times 1 is 4, so that's already too big, so it doesn't go in at all. That's a 0. Remainder 2. How many 4's are in 28? So again, 4 times table till we get to 28 is going to give me here, which is a 7. So that's going to end up being 14.07. So the first couple of questions we're going to use basically some practice on multiplying, and then there's some practice on dividing. After that, comes the problem solving questions, where you're going to look at it in context, and then there's a few extension questions at the bottom which are a bit trickier, maybe a bit more thinking involved in some of that for those of you that want a bit more of a challenge. I'm going to take a couple of minutes now to have a look at some of the consolidation tasks. So again, they're over here, so if you think that's going to be too difficult, that's going to be too tricky for you, then you've got some tasks over here which are all still multiplying and dividing, but the numbers are a bit easier, so that might be better for you. Again, use that table square, it's still there. We're going to start off just looking at some multiplication times table type questions. So 4 times 8 on that first one, and you might go back to your table square, 4 times 8. So if we look, 4 times table, 8 times table, and then where they meet is here. So that first one's going to be 32. And if we look at the sort of more complex multiplication questions where we're doing 32 times 6, I'll do that first one with you just so you know. 6 times 2 is 12, so put the 2 down, I'll carry the 1 over underneath. And 6 times 3, again you can use the table square if you like, 6 times 3 is going to be here, that's going to be 18. But I need to add on that 1, which is going to give me 19, which is 192. For the dividing questions, works fairly similarly. So if we have a look at I here, it says 54 divided by 9. So dividing by 9 is telling me it's a 9 times table. I'm now looking for 54, which is here. How many times does that go in? If I go along to check, that's going to give me 6. So for the first, for I here, that would be 6. 54 divided by 9 is 6. And for the dividing, again, works fairly similarly. If I have a look at E here, 7 times table, quite a lot going on here, let's rub some of this out so we don't confuse you. So 7 times table for that one here for E, 91 divided by 7, and that, if that's a bit tricky, that's too big. So let me see, how many 7's go into 9 first of all? Let's look at that first digit. So 7 and then 14. So 14 is too big, so it can only go in once. If I've used up 7 and I started with 9, I've got a remainder of 2. So now look for 21 in my 7 times table. Well, that's here. And that goes in 3 times. Because I've got 1, 2, 3. So that means in my actual answer, I can pop that across here if my iPad hurries up, and that should give us the answer of 13. I've also put in a few decimal questions underneath here because I kind of want you to try some of these ones with the decimals as well, so don't want you to be put off just because it doesn't have a decimal point in them. So what I've got is, if we have a look at E again, I've just put a point in the question. So instead of it being 91, it's now 9.1. But the strategy is exactly the same. So how many 7's are in 9? Well, that's still 1. Still remainder 2. But now my point comes next. 7's 21. 21 is 3 times. So instead of the answer being 13, it's now 1.3. But the strategy is exactly the same. Okay, I hope that helps. I hope that will be enough for you to get on with. Remember, you're not expected to do all of this in one go. There's quite a lot of work there. You won't be able to finish all of that by the end of the lesson, but we've got the tutorial and you've got time on Thursday and Friday for you to finish things off. If you've got any questions, put them onto your maths teams, and I'll catch you there. I'll be on the video call for the rest of the lesson this morning as well. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.